Okay, the Black Clover slash fairy tale effect, as Thurman calls it. Thurman, introduce this idea and topic to me.
It's so essentially what we have here is a Black Clover has gone through this fairy tale effect. Now, what I mean by that, the fairy tale effect is a phenomenon where a series either starts off or gets uh, gets become infamous, right? Like it becomes extremely because I don't know how. I believe if I recall correctly, when fairy tale started, it wasn't as popular as it was
Um,
because
I remember when I mean, there was a point where people thought fairy tale was like really good.
yeah,
You know,
I,
like
I was I was a huge fan of fairy tale, but I just got. I'm not gonna say the series is trash. I've grown, but I've just I've kind of it kind of got it just got boring to me. It got like the stuff became repetitive in the sense of the how people were how villains were beaten, and
yeah.
it was a bore to watch.
Well, there was
So
never any
I'm
like there was never any fear or worry like is the villain gonna win? You know what I mean? Like, it's never, you know, it was just always the pattern I found with fairy tale was that the author would be very good at setting up the villains like they were gonna be amazing, and then they'd get one shot. You know?
yeah, something like that. So fairy tale's popularity kind of went up and down. Now obviously the series is extremely popular, obviously with some hate on it, but you can't deny that there's more positivity than negativity now. Because I mean, the manga went for 400, 500 plus
Is
series.
there
There's
though?
like
Because I assumed that by the fairy tale effect you were gonna say that it's kind of to me fairy tale is used as like the example of a shitty anime. You know what I mean? Like people like make jokes like, you know, people that like fairy tale. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the example of a shit tier shonen.
no, that's more of like the anime only watcher club. We don't listen to those guys. They don't read source material, so they don't have an opinion. Uh, so well that could be said for a lot of things because One Piece is seen the same way by One Piece haters. A lot of people saying like if you watch One Piece you have shitty taste. So we
Yeah,
don't.
no, but you can't deny that there's more of a like fairy tale is definitely used as like the bottom barrel. Like it's like you ever hear people make fun of the movie The Room?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, like
I understand.
it's seen as that in the anime community. Like literally like King of Lightning, I've seen him in streams say like, you know, if you like this, you probably like you're like Black Clover and Fairy Tail. Like those two are seen as the you have shit taste anime, which is why figured that was the kind of the what we were going to talk about here cuz
Oh no, something completely different. See, because like I said, we don't
maybe you
listen to the
should
anime community.
explain the topic to me before we start recording then, you fuck.
So that's the joy of videos. Isn't that great? So the point of the video is how Black Clover went through the fairy tale effect. Because when Black Clover first started, it was extremely like rarely populated. Only like a few people understood it was a gem. It was an enjoyable gem. Not like in the sense of like competing with like Hunter x Hunter or Kingdom or whatever. But it's still a gem nonetheless, in how it's enjoyable read. Now we see fast forward 2014 to 2018, Black Clover has is becoming more and more popular each day. It's becoming uh like people are actually hyped about the anime. It's not like if you go on like Crunchyroll's or like Viz's comment section, it's it's more of less and less of shitting on the series, like the manga or even the anime itself. It's more like, yeah, I'm hyped for it. Yeah, I don't care if people hate it. I like it.
Mhm.
It's enjoyable, stuff
Well,
like
I
that.
think
And
I think
so,
its popularity comes from a couple things. I think one of those things is that Crunchyroll and Shonen, both the American side and the Japanese side, pushed it very hardcore because it was kind of seen as like a replacement to Naruto. Now that's not me saying that it's the same as Naruto. I'm not making that comparison. I'm just saying like they needed another shonen series. The kids that have superpowers that train and get stronger. They needed that type of series because there's always going to be an audience for that type of series. And I think one of the reasons it got really popular is because there will always be an audience of people that need that in their life. Like, I want a long-running battle shonen. You know what I mean? And so I think that's one of the reasons. And likewise, it was pushed by those two sides very, very strongly as the replacement. Like, here's something to appease you since you don't have that one other big one that's been going for 10 years.
So the issue with that is that people weren't liking that it was being pushed so much, and that was a counter thing that we talked about before is that we can push something, but pushing a very not well received series isn't a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the Fairy Tail effect, it paid off. Because I mean, like Fairy Tail had a lot of haters. People can say whatever the fuck they want with it, but the group chats and shit that I'm in, the manga wise, because fuck the anime community, sorry. Say the manga is not that bad. Say after a certain arc that I left, the manga hero kind of gets rid of the villains, don't get one shotted. Like, because the one I'm gonna give Fairy Tail its credit. Fairy Tail had amazing fights and great characters. Like, I like the characters,
Mm-hmm.
Hero knows how to make them a likable character.
I did too. I mean, Natsu, like, it was actually, you know how we've talked about how there's only a couple series where the main character is my favorite character? Fairy Tail was one of those. I really, I know some people are like in that contentious debate, was Lucy the main character or Natsu? I consider them almost both, but like Natsu is my favorite character in that series, and that very rarely happens to me. Like, the only other two times that's happened to me where the main character is my favorite is Edward Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist and Deku from My Hero Academia. So, I mean, yeah, I like the characters.
So with that being said, Black Clover is going through the same thing to where it has its share of haters, because honestly, I think the reason why Black Clover gets hate is the same reason why One Piece gets hate. It's more of like people don't read it past a certain arc, or people just read it, drop it, and then tell other people how bad it is, and then those people don't read it themselves. They take it for face value.
Yeah, I'll tell you why it gets so much hate. It's a bandwagon thing, right? So like, because I can confirm this. I was around when Chapter 1 came out, my dude. I don't know what you were doing, but I very clearly remember Chapter 1 of Black Clover. I remember when that was a new series. I remember seeing the art for it. I remember seeing the title of it and being like, oh, interesting. And I'm sorry, you will deny this very hardcore, but the first chapter is almost verbatim a carbon copy shonen setup, with no sense of originality even attempted. That is how the first chapter was. I can grant you that from there it got better, but the first people are judging from the first chapter. And the first chapter, when that came out, I was in the anime community when that came out. It was basically universal across every reviewing platform. Your Chibis, your Forever Worlds, everyone was like, this is literally Naruto. Now I'm gonna say, I know it's not now, but at the time it was very, like, that was the big thing. Like, this is just like this is like basically taking all of the shonen shit, putting it in a fucking pot, and then stirring it around and hoping to get a successful series. Again, I can agree with you that from there he made it something new. But at the beginning it was that, and I can admit from my perspective, the reason that I blindly hated it was because I judged it from that first chapter for all these years without giving it a chance to continue reading it.
Yeah, something that you are very against, huh?
What?
Something you are very against. You heard me, bitch.
What am I very against?
Not judging a series just from its first chapter.
No, yeah, that was my bad. I'll admit it.
By your own hold.
I mean, it's an unfortunate thing. I think humanity easily will fall into the bandwagon, you know what I mean? Like, we like to get on our hate trains, you know what I mean? Like, it's fun to jump on like, ooh, look at all these, like, 10,000 people already disliked that video. I'm gonna add my dislikes, so we're part of a fucking community of mob. It's just how it goes. So, I mean, at the time, it was really just a mob thing, and I can agree with you on that. But now, what's interesting is you almost have the opposite effect with Fairy Tail and Black Clover, because Fairy Tail started out good and then got shit, whereas Black Clover started out shit and got better.
See, because I mean, with the Fairy Tail one, it's tricky, right? Because I like Fairy Tail from the beginning, and then
Me too.
it just got but apparently from people who read the manga, see how I'm not saying anything in the anime community.
Dude, chill. He like Thurman's all on that like manga only master race currently. You gotta chill.
I like anime too. Okay, I am part of the anime community, but I'm just being petty.
No,
anyway.
Dude, listen. I followed the final arc very closely. I did not read it chapter for chapter, but I watched reviews all the time. And what I know happened in the final arc is 3 characters. I'm pretty sure it was Gajil, the old master dude, and like some other person. Like were basically like you know. It was like, oh, they're dead, and then they weren't. And this happened multiple times. Apparently with Gajil, he got fake death twice. That shit pisses me off. So not only, so the, like, if you're not going to kill characters, fine, but why fake it? You know what I mean? So there's that, and then there's the fact, of course, I watched, King of Lightning did a video where he live read through the final 5 chapters of Fairy Tail and criticized it. The final battle was just the same as every other thing, where it's like, here's your villain, and then they get stupid one shot, you know.
Yeah, I heard that, like in the middle of Fairy Tail, it got better. He was starting to make it, kind of like a one, and then like the final arc, everything that was wrong with his writing, he did it right, like.
So yeah. What I had heard about Fairy Tail is that, because I remember, like, people would build up their hype and be like, maybe this time the villain won't be shit. Or maybe, you know what I mean? Like, apparently, I remember there was, like, this group. I don't remember what they were called, but, like, there was this group that was built up. And people were like, oh, wow, this group's getting really, really built up. Maybe they'll be good. And then every single time it would be the same thing. So, no, I personally dropped it around the, it was right after, like, the time skip. And it was, like, the Magic Games or whatever. You remember that one?
Yeah.
That's where I dropped it. And it was because it just started to feel so contrived and ridiculous and, like...
I dropped it an arc after that.
Yeah. Well, I got frustrated with Fairy Tail specifically because it seemed like I'm okay with fan service. I really am. But, like, my problem is when you mix fan service into moments that I'm trying to take it seriously, it's like I have a hard time... Like, I have a hard time taking, like, an emotional moment seriously when Lucy's clothes explode like they're fucking tissue paper. Like, and I'm like, how am I supposed to take this emotional moment seriously where, Natsu's like, I don't know, like, let me grope your boobs. Which, by the way, that does happen once where he's like, well, I'm on top of Lucy, let me just grope her boobs. It's like, it's like borderline hentai. And I'm like... I very fervently, I don't know if that's the right word, I very, very fervently separate my hentai and my storytelling, like my good stories, right? I'm not looking for a deep, impactful story in my hentai, and nor am I looking for a hentai in my deep, impactful story. Like, I don't mind it if it's here and there, but, like, that was one of the, so it was the friendship power bullshit all the time. It was the lack of consistency in how powers worked. I think that just kind of, people just got so frustrated with it, it became known as the shitty anime. Now, I guess my question is, what do you think in comparison, like comparing that to Black Clover, like would you see any similarities of like why fandoms would feel that way, or what do you think?
I'm seeing it more so of, because, like I said, I vehemently believe that Black Clover and Fairy Tail have really nothing in common. Thank you. I have nothing in common with how the series is ran. It's more so of the reason why I feel like Black Clover got the Fairy Tail effect is more so of how it started off. To talk about the first chapter. I never saw the first chapter of Naruto. So that's probably why I have to. Maybe if I read it and compare the two, I may or may not.
It's pretty similar.
but going forward, it kind of Black Clover kind of set itself in its own right. It literally paved its way to be its own thing, and the growing it's astounding to me how fast this is what it's been like to be a Fairy Tail fan for the moment of time where it was quality, right? Like, I see on fucking reviewer channels where they talk about the big three, people are like, where the fuck is Black Clover? like Viz and on Crunchyroll, they're like, "Oh, I can't wait for Black Clover chapter." Like, yeah, there's like 2 or 3 comments of like saying like, "Oh, it's just another fairy tale, One Piece, please, Naruto." But it's like, but the positives are beating out the negatives now, and I think that's a
It's
great thing for
definitely,
series.
it's turning. It's interesting to see it because, like I said, I think one of the problems with Black Clover was that it started off bad and got better. And since it started off bad, it didn't, like with Fairy Tail, it started off good and then it slowly trickled to bad. And as we all know from the Promised Neverland fandom, shade being thrown, when something starts off good, it's very hard to get people to recognize that it's bad now. You know what I'm saying? But when it starts off bad, people immediately, like, I'm sure you know this about humans, right? First impressions are very important. First impressions, like there's studies that say that like almost all friendships are like determined off of first impressions. You know, like 90% of like how important it is like from a first impression. So, which is why I'm glad we met in a Skype call talking about hentai, Thurman. High five. Fucking, you gotta confirm. Laugh, confirm. Otherwise, people are gonna think I'm making that shit up. Confirm that we literally met in a fucking Skype call talking about hentai.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were recommending fucking hentai websites. I was like, yo, hentai MS and hentai, it's good shit. But
That is some golden memories.
but for real, like I think that is what destroyed it for so long is that the first impressions were so bad. And you're right. As we go through, we see I've seen more people like you see it here and there where it's like, hey, you know, is Black Clover still bad? Like, I've seen people that did videos, like, destroying the first chapter, doing videos, is Black Clover still bad? Did it redeem itself? I've seen, you know, like, people, I've watched a bunch of King Lightning streams where, like, the people come on King Lightning shit-talking Black Clover, and, like, the people in his streams are like, actually, it's a lot better now, you know? It's kind of regaining that image, you know what I mean? Like, enough people have come out and been like, hey, you should check it out again, it's not as bad anymore, and now it's kind of, so it's this weird thing where it started off almost universally hated, and now it's kind of like becoming a thing of its own. And obviously, you and I have that theory where, what's his name, Tabata, the guy that writes it?
Yeah.
I think that because we know he's a good writer, he did Hungry Joker. So my personal theory is that he was pissed that Hungry Joker, with all that creativity and shit, didn't get like picked up. I think he was so pissed about that he was like, fucking fine, I'll make the first 20 chapters just shonen trash. And then, once I have enough fucking chapters for you to not drop me, I'll actually do something with it. That's my guess as to what happened.
I mean, that's what everyone says, because, I mean, like, that's the reason why his series is so fast-paced, because he was scared of an accent. But now, because interview-wise, in a recent interview in April, he says that he wants Black Clover to at least be as long as Naruto or One Piece.
Damn, he's going in! One Piece? This motherfucker's signing his own death warrant. As long as One Piece, get out of here.
He says he wants to be, and everyone's like saying like that's good. He has ambition, you know. Me personally, I feel like if he wants it to last as long as Naruto and One Piece, he must have already have a plan of what he's gonna go his series. Because he says, because in the interview he says that part 1, the first arc of the series is almost over. So that means that from
oh, are we about to get Black Clover Shippuden?
So so chapter 1 to now, this current arc that you will be reading, hopefully.
Oh yeah.
Is essentially part
1.
His part 1.
His
so
part 1 Naruto.
It's like a part 1, like his arc 1. So
well, I guess that's a good time for me to get caught up then, huh?
Yeah, it's really good. So I'm assuming by like chapter 200, the arc will be over. So he seems to already have a big idea of how long he wants the series to go. It all depends on if Jump will keep it or not, if the sales continue, because apparently the sales are doing not really well, but you know, well enough to like, okay, Jump, it's making Jump money, so they're not gonna.
They'll keep it. They need. I'm guaranteeing you they'll keep it because Jump needs at least 1 or 2 of those long-running shonen battle, train, get stronger, fight stronger enemies type series. You know, there's always got to be one in there, at least 1 or 2.
So I mean, it'll he has ambition, right? So it gets me hyped because it kind of showing that I want this man to succeed. I'm happy Hirokoshi succeeded after 2 fails, and I hope the Black succeed because I'm a huge fan of Black Clover.
By the way, little side note with Horikoshi and My Hero Academia. Yesterday, the amount of subscribers on the My Hero Academia Reddit surpassed Dragon Ball Z's Reddit.
Woo.
It's happening. The changing of guard has happened, my friend. Like, My Hero Academia is a fucking phenomenon. I am blown away by how popular it is. Like, I walk into GameStop and there's My Hero Academia shirts, pop figures. I see people just casually talking about it on the street. There's My Hero Academia shit in, like, Target. There was in the Halloween store I went into. There's a Deku costume. Like, it's insane. My local theater is playing the My Hero Academia movie. I'm not kidding. It is huge. Like, Horikoshi, man, he's there.
I need my boy Tabata to get that same thing.
Probably not, unfortunately, because the reason my Hero hit kind of like one of the things that like I think My Hero got so popular. This is gonna be a side note. You get a second video in the first video. My Hero, to me, is the reason it's so popular is because it perfectly bridges the gap between American comics and anime. There could not be a better bridge from American comics to anime and manga. You know what I mean? Like, it is literally like, what better way to get like Americans into anime than showing them something that they're kind of familiar with? Like, this has a lot of tropes of American comics, but it spins it in a very unique manga-esque way. So I think that's one of the reasons My Hero is such a genius formula. But yeah, tying that back to this video, yeah, Black Clover interests me. I am actually going to be catching up with it, so we can review it on the channel. So I'll be once I catch up with it, we'll do the same thing we did with Dr. Stone, where we did like a series so far video, where I can kind of tell you my thoughts on it as a whole and how it like progressed and shit. But yeah, good shit. I thought it was good.
Definitely quality boost. I honestly, long story short, final thing I'll say is the moral of the story is to give a series a chance, right? Don't just immediately drop it, okay? I always give a series until like 10 or 20 chapters before I decide to drop it.
You right.
Or maybe like the first and second arc, because I feel like that's fair. That's enough time and fair enough to give a series a chance.
Yeah. And other moral of the story to you aspiring authors out there: make your main character better than Asta. And with that, shade being thrown. Go ahead.
Hate MC does not mean you have to hate the entire series.
Oh, that's true.
By the way. That seems to be a thing now, apparently.
I just like throwing shade at Asta because I hate him and I need to see him.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just talking about. I hate it, but even SAO has that issue where people hate Kirito because they automatically hate SAO.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just
I feel
a lot of MCs don't like either, but that doesn't mean the whole series is trash just because one MC is trash.
You're right. And with that, peace.